I listened to your book.
You listened to books?
Oh, my God. Well, yeah, I listened to books.
Oh, my God. That must have been... I was trying to get through it.
No,
I don't know how to talk.
I wanted to ask you that. I wanted to ask you how, because I did a book and I read it, and I was just a flat line. There was no inflection.
Well, that's what I did. Yeah.
No, it's so fucking good.
Really?
Yeah, because you tell it. I mean, the book is written like it's like a Cormac McCarthy kind of a book.
Noirish kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and so you do it in a way that's got. It's got that almost like a narrator. Like what was the book that became a movie? No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
It's almost like the narrator from that is doing your book.
I never saw that movie. Was there a narrator? Everybody tells me, you have to see
it's
that
great.
movie.
Yeah, you'll love it.
And I love the Coen Brothers more than anybody.
But
that was Coen Brothers, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
But there was a narrator in it?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
If there wasn't, then it would be what the narrator would sound like.
What's his name was in Big Lebowski, like guy with the big mustache who plays a cowboy.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
So great.
Yeah.
But he was the narrator.
But no, what were you thinking when you narrated it in terms of...
I was real scared because I didn't know I've never listened to a book on tape, you know? And I was like, are you supposed to do different voices? Like if there's a girl... Do you go like, hi there? You know, I was like, I don't think I could do that. And then are you supposed to act? Because that was exactly the fear that you said I had, that it was just going to be flat, monotone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I haven't listened to it, so I'm glad that it sounds okay.
Yeah.
Because they said like an actor, I said, well, that's going to be ridiculous if people get it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's my life and it's an actor.
Right.
Know? So I have to do it. But, you know, Spade said, like, it doesn't count for your sales, so it kind of hurts you. But then they say, well, people that read books, people that listen to books don't read them all, you know what I mean? And that's their lifestyle, is listening to books. Which I've never gotten into, but my friends do. I
like it because, especially if it's read by the author, because then... I don't like it when it's read by an actor because then I feel like I'm the third guy to ingest the material.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
But if it's the author, then
So, because also I would be interested in hearing how they sound.
Oh, you know what?
If it's
You're on my audiobook.
What?
You're on my audiobook. I did a book and it was called Dear Mrs. Fitzsimmons, Tales of Redemption from an Irish Mailbox. And it was letters that my mother had received my whole life when I was in trouble.
Oh.
You know, like it was cool. Police reports and teacher thing. And I had celebrities read the different letters and you read one of them when you did my podcast. You're on my audiobook.
God, you just tricked me into...
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, you had me read something. Yep. But I don't think you told me what it was for.
No, I just told you to read it.
That's hilarious.
But you had a guy reading on yours.
Signing releases or anything?
Yeah, we got a release. Yep, we got the release. I think maybe your head was somewhere else. I think Ben Hoffman was with you.
I sign anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you go to a show and they just tell you to sign something.
Yeah.
Like Brian Regan had a funny thing about I could buy a house, you know? He's signing all the papers, you know. He's like, I hope you're not ripping me off. I don't know what I'm signing. I hope you're not taking all my money. Because, you know, you have to sign like a weird thing is your accountant, if he cheats on your taxes, you're responsible.
Yeah.
Like you go to jail because you signed the stupid thing at the end.
Right. Do you read yours?
Well, I know I got a real honest guy. Like he's so honest that he doesn't get any. I don't get any savings or anything.
Yeah.
Like I go, what about can I say I use part of my house to write, think up jokes?
Yeah.
And he's like, do you really? I'm like, no. So he's like, no, you can't. I'm like, no, but I do. Yes, I meant to say yes. And he's like, you said no. So I blew it. I should have said yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's good that he's super honest.
It is amazing what you can write off as a writer performer.
Yeah.
You know, my accountant's write anything. He got
every meal, right?
Every meal, and then when I go on I went to Spain on vacation with my family.
Yeah.
But I did a gig. Some guy emailed me and he's like, "Hey, I hear you're coming to Barcelona, and I'm a show producer. You want to do a show in a bar?" I said, "Absolutely." So I went out and he said, "Just we'll charge at the door, and then you just take all the money."
Yeah.
And then I ended up with $500 in Spanish money, and then I got to write off the entire trip.
Wow.
Yeah.
The whole trip.
Well, I think 1/5. I guess my part 1/5.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Or 1/4. Four people in the family. So let's talk about the book. It's called Based on a True Story.
Oh, yeah. And you listened to it.
I listened to it. Yeah. And I really...
I'm afraid of listening to it.
I don't want to blow smoke up your ass, but it is just it's so smartly constructed. Smartly?
Oh,
see, I like when you try to compliment somebody on being smart and you sound like a fucking idiot.
I think that's a word.
It's smartly constructed. I like the way you create this... It's like what's his name who drove to Vegas? The Rolling Stone? No, the Rolling Stone.
Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah, it's got some Hunter S. Thompson in it.
It's very influenced by Hunter S. Thompson. Yeah.
And Adam Eget, who I know, who you just torture in the book. Yeah. Adam is the manager of the Comedy Store, or the world famous Comedy Store in Hollywood. And what made you decide to just make him your patsy in this book?
Well, he's a really good guy. And then when I did this video podcast they wanted me to do, and I said I should get a sidekick, like just pretend it's a talk show.
Yeah.
And but I didn't want I wanted somebody. I wanted to make the host sidekick relationship just way magnified, to what it was with Carson and Ed McMahon. So just a guy I could pile onto, and I didn't want any blowback, so I didn't want to get a comic that would, joke back at me.
Right.
So I did the podcast with him, and he turned out to be perfect.
Yeah, I saw an episode where you're supposed to do an ad for the Man Grape, and you just by the end it would convince anybody not to buy a Man Grape.
Yeah. Well, I made no money for it, so I was like, I have to do ads, like. But yeah. So, but it was in a kind of a self-fulfilling thing. Like in the second episode we did a little comedy bit where I said, we got some letters from people, comments. And they're pretty good for the most part. And then I read them, and it'd be like, this guy says, because the first show was me and Super Dave. This guy says, it was great to see Norm and Super Dave, two comic heavyweights, sparring together, lose the douchebag. And so the second one was like, I love the show, everybody was great, but lose cunt face. And so... anyways, it became self-fulfilling, and then everybody started actually doing it. And so I kind of felt sorry for Adam. He's like, every week I read these messages, and they're just all, now my nickname is Cunt Face, like on the message boards.
And he's just this sweet guy. He's like the most sincere guy in the world.
No, yeah, he's very, very earnest and sweet. So yeah, I asked him, I said, I want to have a guy that's dumber than me in the book.
You're right.
So I was like, I want it to be Gleason and Art Carney.
Right.
So he said he'd do it. And I said, you're actually smarter than me, because I always thought Art Carney was smarter than Jackie Gleason and the Honeymooners.
Yeah, right.
Because he knew that none of these schemes were going to work out.
Right.
He was just satisfied with being a sewer worker. Like, he worked with shit. And the only jokes, it was a super clean show, but once in a while they do a shit joke about working ankle deep in shit, and having his lunch in the shit. But anyways, that was my idea, was to have a guy that I could the dumbest guy ever in the book.
Meanwhile, he has turned around the Comedy Store. He came in, and that place was like...
Did he ever?
I mean, nobody would work there. I mean, I didn't work there. It was just, it was chaos.
Well, apparently the guy that books people, whatever,
yeah,
it was very unpopular.
Right.
Now that's what Adam does. He was the manager, but now he decides who goes. He says it's torture for him because he's so sweet.
Right.
And everyone's coming up to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets guys to come, because every time he's with me and there's, if Spade's there, he's like handing him, I'm Adam, if you ever want to come and work out. And then people do,
yeah.
Like Spade started to,
Yep.
And so, yeah, he did turn it around.
And now it's packed every night. Every show is sold out. It's amazing. Speaking of which,
he never made any money for it, though.
No, he needs to make some money.
He didn't get rewarded for it.
I know. He's got to figure that one out.
I got him some money for the podcast.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
because
I do it for free.
Yeah.
And then so I said, just give Adam, you get some, $500 a show or something like that.
That's good.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I know. He was saying you guys are going to start doing it again. He's like, I hope we do. Yeah. I hope Norm gets his shit together because I want the money.
Yeah. It's good kern for him.